pueblo salvadoreño tiene el cielo por sombrero.
UP students have spent months preparing for their observation mission in El Salvador. This election is the most important election for El Salvador. It is the first time since the end of the Civil War and the signing of the Chapultepec Peace Accords in 1992 that the opposition, the FMLN, have the possibility to win. UP students are fortunate to be a part of this historic election. The mission leader, Victor Valle, is head of the Department of International Peace Studies. Victor Valle was an active member of Salvadorian politics for years, and in organizing this mission, he took care in educating the students around Salvadorian history and politics. The mission is made up of 45 students from the programs of International Peace Studies and Media, Peace, and Conflict Studies. Students acted as international electoral observers and had two streams of observing. The first being observing the polling stations on election day, and the second, a media monitoring mission, in which the 3 top newspapers were analyzed over the 5-day period of the mission. Organizers had booked a small hotel for the duration of the mission, and having the whole hotel to themselves, students quickly found a home away from home. Seemingly hiding the fact that it is located in the urban setting of San Salvador, the common area and outdoors became the mission meeting room during the day and the drinking lounge at night. The mission visited the newspapers that they would be monitoring for this project. The rotary press used by Diario Coletino is an indication of what kind of resources, or lack thereof, the paper has. Diario Coletino is the first paper visited by the UP's mission. It is considered to be a left-wing paper, and though they do not associate themselves as supporters of one party over another, it is clear that the employees of the paper are FMLN supporters.
No quiero usar la palabra izquierda, sino que algo progresista con la mano izquierda, digamos.
While exploring the facility, students noticed the cramped conditions the small staff operates in. However, fascination grew around how passionate these journalists must be in order to push through and work with what they had. As the mission crammed themselves in the office of Diario Coletino, more was explained about the paper, its political affiliations, and the news situation in El Salvador.
Sería bueno que les tomaran una foto para publicar en el periódico.
Sí, ahorita.
No, we have enough people today. There is no excuse to play football now.
Though many on the mission would have likely enjoyed a football break, this was no time for recreation. In fact, this was the office of La Prensa Gráfica, and this spacious football field and outdoor cafeteria are a good indication of the resources of this newspaper, one of the 2 largest in the country. The mission was to be greeted by the managing editor, Hector Silva. However, he was late in arriving due to a meeting with the Arena candidate. It is interesting that though La Prensa Gráfica is considered to be the most politically center newspaper, they seem to have better access to Arena that Diario Coletino did not. The mission was instead greeted by members of the human resource staff, and students were given a tour of the modern printing facility, which could not be recorded, as per their request. The managing editor joined eventually, and came to answer the questions of the mission, and did quite a good job of answering difficult questions in a very diplomatic way.
The mainstream of the media is conservative. I don't agree with that whatsoever. Mr. Funes is close to become the next president of El Salvador.
The mission spent some time chasing the FMLN candidate in hopes of an interview, but unfortunately, with no luck. So by the end of the business day, the mission made its way to a press conference held by the Arena candidate. The mission had special access to this press conference due to their international observer status, though no one was brave enough to ask any questions. That same evening, the mission was invited to the FMLN-sponsored International Observer Gala, where they had the opportunity to meet the FMLN vice presidential candidate and other international observers. There was some excitement caused by an exploding transformer that shrouded the party in complete darkness for a few minutes before the generators turned on. Some speculated that this explosion was intentionally done by the Arena Party in order to intimidate the FMLN. Whatever happened, it did not ruin the party, and there were no other incidents. The mission rose bright and early to receive a specialized training session in order to properly observe the election the next day. The trainers turned out to be two very witty FMLN supporters who had clearly given the same presentation over and over many times. Their humor was most definitely appreciated.
Allí se pueden observar muchos problemas.
The rest of the day was given as personal time to the mission, as they would all need to wake up in the middle of the night in order to be at their election stations by 5 a.m.
Remember all the time that this is one academic exercise.
Victor Valle, program head, gives last-minute instructions before sending the student observers around San Salvador to their election observation posts. The mission is dispersed to locations within San Salvador and surrounding areas.
Let's start sending the teams.
The students from the mission who were allocated to Soyopango, located northeast of San Salvador, were the first to leave that very early, cloudy morning. These students were previously warned about the violent reputation of Soyapango due to a strong gang presence in the city. However, the only strange occurrence the students noticed was a crazed Arena supporter who managed to make her way past numerous policemen to the inside of the polling station before it was open to the public. The students assigned to Antiguo Cuscutlan noticed very typical election morning activities. Outside the station, both party supporters lined the streets, chanting slogans, competing for votes. Once inside the station, electoral authorities were busy setting up tables and voting boxes, while sleepy-eyed observers watched carefully. Mission leader Victor Valle informed the students in Antiguo that they had the privilege of being assigned to the polling station where FMLN candidate Mauricio Funes was to vote.